evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition here on the NE Patriots Talk channel. And today it's just gonna be some regular old show, just talking whatever has been going on, maybe discussing getting in depth on some of the overreactions to Drake May's performance yesterday, plus thoughts on the tush push ban, plus some of our breakout candidates that could potentially be impactful for the Patriots, and just learned some sad news that Colts owner Jim Irsay passed away at the age of 65 this afternoon. So, Thomas, what are your thoughts on Jim Irsay's death, and what do we remember him for, considering that
probably a long-time owner here at Indianapolis. He's been an owner around the 1980s until he got the solo procession in 1997. He's probably the longest tenured owners in the National Football League, and probably plus. I still remember the time that when they had on that draft when they drafted Peyton Manning, which is by far, to my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks in the league back then. And I remember the time when we faced Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. The dude, he's just played like a veteran, and he still is. But dude, Indianapolis just lost a very, very long tenured owner out of Jim Irsay. I feel bad for them. It is a big loss of the National Football League world. Legit.
100%. No one expected him to pass away this sooner.
65 is way too young, in my opinion.
100%. We know for a fact that Virginia McCaskey, who was the owner for the Bears, passed away at a good old age. But I just felt like Jim Irsay's passing, I think this was unexpected. And I felt I just feel like people nowadays that we all know, some big names, they just passed away this year. We have a lot of football players passing away, and now we have owners passing away.
It really stinks when it comes to the National Football League. You have to relive those moments at this point here. Would you have probably a long tenured owner out of McCluskey or whatever her Virginia, whatever her last name is. She's been in a part-time / owner for the Bears for a long time, as long as I remember. Irsay has been a owner for long as I remember as well here, and I was not even born yet. I was born in 1999, for crying out loud. The only thing I know about Irsay that he produced, that he is the owner of a former potential championship team out of the Colts, with a great quarterback like Peyton Manning, and with Marvin Harrison, for crying out loud, one of the best receivers out there on Payne's tenure. And man, it really stinks to have someone lose an owner that has a lot of great memories for that franchise.
Oh, 100% for sure. And we used to remember the rivalry between the Patriots and the Colts. Remember, everybody, that the Colts used to be in our division before the AFC South became a thing. They used to be in the AFC East, and we used to face them every single year. And then when Brady was around, hell, even in the AFC, when the Colts were transferred to the AFC South, we still play against them every single year, because we were the number one seed in the division, and they were the number one seed in the division, and we would play them in the playoffs. Even with Peyton Manning's departure from the Colts, we still play them, and we all know about the Deflategate game, and we're not going to talk about the Deflate game, but let's just say that our thoughts and prayers are with the Irsay family and the Colts organization and all of Indianapolis, and I hope you get the respect that you deserve, and hopefully your prayers are answered. But let's now move on to some of the other topics that we can get into, and then we can get into your comments. So, Thomas, yesterday we did discuss about OTAs and the fact that Drake May's performance, it was just an overreaction.
Yep.
So I just remembered, like, I didn't pay attention closely, but I learned that what is it? He threw 4 picks. That's just because the defense got better. Or was it Drake May making mistakes, which is like early on in the off season, nothing big has happened. It doesn't mean anything. But if it does continue on through like mini camp and it takes over the training camp and then to the preseason, then there's going to be some issues. But I think this is just early on. Obviously, we won't be able to see their practice tomorrow because I don't think the media is reporting tomorrow. So that sucks.
Nope.
But I just felt like people are bashing on Drake May too early. And I just felt like this Drake May slander of him being a bust needs to stop. Like, it's just early. This is just OTAs, like you alluded to. And I just don't understand why fans are like this.
It's just because they're the biggest trolls at this point. They let them say what they say here. That doesn't affect me. That doesn't affect the Patriots. The Patriots Nation at this point. If we drafted Drake May for a purpose, we need a quarterback that can save this franchise. Because hell, I'm not dependent on Bailey Zappi, which I'm sorry, he's not the best starting quarterback in the Patriots. Hell, Joe Milton, like he's a good backup, but he's not a starting quarterback for the Patriots. I don't know why people are hyping Joe Milton, even though we got Drake May, who's most likely a future franchise quarterback in this Patriots organization.
100%. And people are saying this. Another thing is because we had Brady for so long. It's just like we had so many of these high expectations for this team. So that could also play into the factor. But at the end of the day, Drake May is no Tom Brady. We did the same thing. I know Mac Jones. We drafted him thinking that he would be the next Tom Brady, which was never going to happen.
Yeah, people have to realize his rookie year was great. Second year, not his fault because you got a defensive coordinator swap positions to be an offensive coordinator. I'm sorry, it ruins his confidence. And then third year, Bill Belichick ruined his confidence. So then Mac Jones has got the fries in the bag. I know it's partially Mac's fault, but it's Bill Belichick's fault. I hate to say it as a Patriots fan. Most of the blame goes to Belichick, who just brought Mac Jones down. People need to realize this. That is the main reason we had to let Bill Belichick go here. Like, I get he's the greatest coach for our team, but since after Brady, he's a cancer.
Yeah, I understand that Belichick. People might say that, oh, Belichick made Brady do this and that, and I just felt like, I know we're getting a bit off topic, but I just felt like, just to give a recap before we move on, is that Belichick, he's a great defensive coordinator. Let's get it straight. As a head coach, he was also good. I felt like him as a general manager, that's where his flaws starts to show. I just felt like it's more on Belichick doing a terrible job when it comes to like drafting, when it comes to finding coaching staff, when it comes to finding talent in free agency, overpaying players. And then the expectations are still there. It's just him as a general manager. He thinks he could be so cocky to the point that, oh, the Patriots took a nosedive from there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Belichick is he's not just a good coach. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time at that category. With Chuck Knowles, with also the best Patriots coaches, so is Bill Parcells, so and so. Like, as a GM, no. Like, what do we get? Like, sometimes we got some good picks out of it, including we got Julian Edelman, we got Kyle Duggar at this point, but without Brady at this point, he's not a good job drafting people than what we desperately need.
Yeah, I think that I think we're heading into a new era, and I understand that Belichick he's no longer here anymore. But even though Belichick is not here anymore, I just felt like the Patriots as an entire team, they're not good. They're not good. Even with when we had Jerron Mayo, I just felt like even with Belichick, he did put in the discipline for all the players because we all know that the discipline we need some discipline because players nowadays, not just with the Patriots, but with all other organizations, they tend to be undisciplined with like speaking out on social media, speaking about their dissatisfaction with like their contracts, needing contracts, and then holding out of camp. That's 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 the generation nowadays, and I just don't understand why players do that nowadays.
I don't know either, man. But now we got a different coach now. This is like, I don't know, our second different coach since Belichick's gone. And now we got a perfect one out of Mike Vrabel, who has experience with this team with coaching football. Like hell, he brought the Tennessee Titans 2019 to an AFC Championship game with a top 20 quarterback out of freaking Ryan Tannehill.
Exactly. I just felt like sorry if I got like distracted or something like that. But as I was saying, I feel like now with Mike Vrabel being as your head coach, there's a plan in place for him. I felt like there is a lot to be excited about. Obviously, we have a proper front office to bring in new players and to develop players, but also not only to set the rules and the discipline, but also interacting with the players, make sure that these players are part in a safe environment, like what he alluded to in his press conference and these team meetings, because that's really important.
Yeah, and to add to all that, Vrabel is probably the most active coaches when it comes to practice. He even though he's a coach, he is like acting like a player. He's more involved in practice. That is what, to my opinion, that is what you need out of a head coach. You need to get more involved in practice. Just show the young bucks and the veterans what are you supposed to do at this point here. With a head coach like Vrabel, who's getting more involved, more physically active in practice, that is good for this team. He did it with Tennessee. Why not here?
Exactly, and I think it was Tennessee's fault for letting them go because they just want to win. They just want to win championships, which they will never do because they rush rebuilds. And look what happened to them. They overplayed players and they didn't even make the playoffs. That is the saddest thing I've ever seen from an organization that has been a laughing stock for so many years.
Yes.
But let's not move on to another topic that has been going around this morning. As we all know that the tush push that was reported by Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, that the tush push is not banned. And you gave me this good spreadsheet if I can find it. Let me find this spreadsheet if I can. Hold on. Let me see where the spreadsheet is because I think it's a good one. Hold on, let me share the screen so you can see it. Share screen and then send this image. So here are the teams that we have. So here are the teams that what can I say? That voted not to ban, and then teams that voted to ban for the tush push. You know what's interesting? 3 of the AFC East teams, including us, did not want the tush push to be banned. And do you know what the funniest part is? Buffalo decided to wanting to ban that play.
Yeah, the fact that they failed the attempt to the tush push, the only team who has perfected the tush push are the team that is on the top left corner of the screen, the Philadelphia Eagles.
100%. And also you can say this. You can talk about this. You were vocal about one team that were chicken enough to have this play banned, and that is the Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes. Absolutely here. I have major issues with that. Green Bay, like the Packers are just being so big old crybabies of just that's not of going to have this tush push thing banned. Like for what? Because the players get injured. When's the last time we saw a NFL player getting hurt during the tush push? We have never saw anyone got injured on the tush push or the brotherly shove. That's what Philly call it. If people were injured in this, sure, potentially ban it. But dude, if you do not like the tush push here, like, stop being a crybaby and just go to practice. Have your first team defense practice how to stop the tush and get your second string offense, or bring your first string offense, do the tush push, and then just find a way to stop it. That's what teams are trying to do when they face Philadelphia, trying to find ways to stop the tush push. If you don't have enough guts to stop the tush push, stop being a crybaby and just shut up.
I love that speech here. I think that you can say that to the whole entire public because I agree that there's just so many crybabies that want the tush push banned. And people also, I know that there's this one YouTuber, I'm not going to say his name because he said that he wants the tush push ban just so that he can expose Jalen Hurts as a player because he's a decent quarterback. I'm not gonna lie. It's just that the Eagles use it a lot. We know that Jason Kelsey used it back in 2023 with Jalen Hurts under center, but even in 2024, we still see that a lot, and that's more due to the Eagles having one of the best old lines in the league right now. That's the thing.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, like, I don't know why people say he's the worst quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl or the worst quarterback in the league. He's not. Dude, he won a Super Bowl. Like, he's like a top 15, top 10 quarterback in the league. I'll say that. And I have the footage on my brain. When we faced Philly 2022 season, or I don't know, 2022 or 2023.
It was 2023.
Yeah, thank you. When we faced Philly at New England, they did this tush push, and we didn't find any way to stop the tush push. That's the reason that's why teams had to go through practice and just literally find ways to stop the brotherly shove, aka the tush push. Like, dude, I'm a defensive guy myself at high school football. I know for a fact stopping a quarterback sneak or a tush push probably the hardest thing in my entire football career, and probably everyone else's defensive football career. And do I bitch about the tush push? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I just had to refocus and to find ways to stop the tush push. That's what every 31 of the NFL teams should do against Philly. Go to practice, find ways to stop the tush push. And you do not like what I say here at this point here, go to hell, man. Like, shut up and stop bitching about the tush push and just get over with it. Like, it's a football play that you should supposed to stop.
I see that defensive coordinators need to start realizing that the tush push has gotten a lot better. The tush push has been used frequently, and it seems like defensive coordinators, they're just chicken and they have no idea how to stop the tush push. Like, you see, like in the Super Bowl, you see Steve Spagnuolo trying to find a way to stop the tush push. You saw Chris Jones using this side of the body to stop the tush push, and he did get himself hurt, but that's just because people people whine and cry for like why they want this play to be banned, and that's just more on the defensive coordinators and the owners being crybabies than instead of being like a man. Straight and simple.
Yeah, Kansas City is facing Philly, so Spagnuolo, who's in my opinion the best defensive corner in the National Football League, he'll think of something to stop the tush push. I know that, but every NFL team who is going to face Philly, go to do practice here with your first string defense, and then go against your second string offense or your first string offense. Let them do the tush push and just let the defense find ways to stop the tush push without being a crybaby about it. Just saying, "Oh, we need this play to be banned." Like, come on, man.
And I'm looking at Buffalo because we know Buffalo they failed to do the tush push. Then again, they used the tush push on the Dolphins towards the end of 2020 the 2023 season, and it worked well. But against the Chiefs, it's just that the Bills didn't have a good they had a okay O-line. It was just the defense being creative. The Chiefs defense was creative. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the reason that they're the best one of the best defenses in the league, and they have the best defensive coordinator in the National Football League, and Spagnuolo. I hate to say this.
Yeah, it just sucks that we all know that we want some of us want the tush push ban. I was one of those guys who said keep the tush push because like I never complain about anyone. I never complained about anybody crapping on the tush push as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that say to do not ban the tush push because like it's a football play. Like I complain about the making the play, but do I complain about the ban the tush push? No, absolutely not. That when they repeatedly use the tush push, I was like, God dang it. But like, dude, like it's a like at the end of the day, it's a legal football play. If you do not like it, so be it. This is what you have to live with. This is a football play that the defensive players need to figure a way to stop. Because I don't know there's any other team who can know how to stop the tush push here. I can't remember one team here, but when it comes to who prevent the tush push at this point, the Eagles know how to perfect this legal football play. Like if you do not like the fact it's a legal football play, then just so be it. Just go into the trash can and just live for another 100 years or so.
Yeah, we already know that the tush at this point has been reported that the tush push is not banned, and if it's gonna be, we need to see how well the teams perform when it comes to like the tush push this upcoming season, and if it becomes an issue next season, this will be discussed once again. But as far as I know, so far it's gonna be used, as far as I'm concerned. But by the way, guys, just to let you, wait, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's because it's a legal football play. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say that at the end of our discussions on like one other topic, there will be some call-ins. You will use the link. You can use the link in the top of the chat, or I can like copy and paste the link to the live stream so you can chat with me and Thomas as always. And make sure that as you join in, make sure to like and subscribe so you can see more content like this. And by the way, me, Andy, Austin, and Sergeant Moonshine, we're going to be live discussing the offensive line and discussing like which combo will be starting for the Patriots and which backup players should be at least like helping the offensive line just in case if like who knows if one of their offensive players goes down. So let's now move on to another topic that I'm thinking of, and that is like the breakout candidates, as in like players who can make a impact for the team as we head into this upcoming season. So let's start with Keon White. we all know that Keon White has been misused. He's been in the league right now for like 3 seasons at this point. We all know that he was drafted to be like an edge rusher to replace Matthew Judon, but his skill set is him being more of an interior defensive lineman. What are your thoughts on Thomas, since he did have like 4 sacks during the beginning of the 2024 season, but for some reason he has disappeared for some reason?
Because he's been misused because of our garbage defensive coordinator out of DeMarcus Covington, for crying out loud. He does know how to utilize Keon Coleman here, and plus he's an interior lineman. But that, like, the way he uses him last season is just awful. Thank God we fired that defense coordinator. I do not want to hear his name in this Patriot system again.
100%. I nobody wants to see defense that guy again. Like everybody wants Covington's head beheaded, like because he has done a terrible job with the talented defense, and we all know that the defense would potentially regress because of Belichick's departure, but we didn't expect the defense to get a lot worse under Covington. But it's just Covington being being way too aggressive and not being way too risky at this point. I just think that he's been misusing players. He's been misusing Christian Gonzalez, going after wide receiver threes, which I thought was so stupid. And then having crappy cornerbacks going up against top tier wide receivers. I'm like, it's basically DeMarcus Covington being brain dead at this point. I don't know why he still has a job. Well, he's now with the defensive line coach for the Green Bay Packers. So good luck to them.
Yep.
So another candidate I'm considering that could be impactful for the Patriots is Jaheim Bell. And we haven't seen anything much out of Jaheim Bell yet, just because I don't think Alex Van Pelt has utilized him that much. And we know that he is not like your typical tight end like Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry, but what he did at Florida State, he could be like I wouldn't say he could be like your Aaron Hernandez, like his skill type. He could be like your H-back. He could be like a running back. He could be like your wide receiver. He could be that all-rounded guy, excuse me, if used properly. And I can't wait to see how Josh McDaniels utilized Jaheim Bell, even though Jaheim Bell wasn't drafted by Mike Vrabel. He was drafted, however, by Elliott Wolf. So what are your thoughts on Jaheim Bell potentially being impactful for the team?
That is definitely out of my question. I have no intel on Jaheim Bell, besides that he plays well at Florida State as a tight end, but use him as an overall positions. Yeah, possibly going to be a potential, like, can't remember what his name is, who's played for the Saints, because he plays most of the positions and also a quarterback. I can't remember what his name at this point.
Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill, yeah. He's going to be more a Taysom Hill hybrid here, but honestly, I would definitely see that if he's in the 53-man roster, that is.
100%. We need to see how well he performs during training camp and during the OTA workouts, because obviously I haven't heard his name much ever since last season. Like he had like 8 receiving yards and that was it. So I'm just hoping and praying that he has some kind of production with the Patriots and to see if he can be like one of those secret weapons that Drake May can rely on. But let's now move on to the final breakout player that we both agree off stream, and that is Alex Austin being like one of those breakout candidates. You go ahead.
Yeah, he's most likely one of the most underrated corners we ever had here. Ever since he released for Buffalo, when we faced Buffalo here, he intercepted Josh Allen, which is a pretty redemptionful moment for him here. The way he plays at this position here, I think he's definitely the most underrated corners out there. Now we got Christian Gonzalez, and now we got Carlton Davis, and now you're going to put Austin in the helm as your third corner on that defense. This is probably the best cornerback room we ever had here for like I don't know how long here. Like if you keep him in the 53 roster, utilize him with Davis, the one we picked up from Detroit, who's a Super Bowl champion with Tampa Bay, and one of the top five corners in the league out of Christian Gonzalez. Then hell, best cornerback room for this division in general, possibly top 10 cornerback rooms in the league.
Yeah, I think that even though we have a brand new cornerbacks coach and we do have Zach Kerr as currently our acting defensive coordinator, since we have no idea how Terrell Williams' health is going to look like, but we all know that Zach Kerr is our acting defensive coordinator at this point. He is also the inside linebacker coach, but I know for a fact that we don't have Mike Pellegrino to like develop the cornerbacks, but at least we have some like a coaching staff that could like develop these cornerbacks to be at the top high level. I think his last name is Booker, if I'm not mistaken. I think that who is the cornerbacks coach. I can briefly look him up and see if I'm correct, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so Booker was the safety. He's the safeties coach. The cornerback coach is Justin Hamilton, who was the where was it? He was the assistant defensive backs coach for the Indianapolis Colts. And we all know what happened with the Colts defensive backs. They were terrible. Can he do it with a better player personnel than what he had in Indianapolis? That's going to be the big question.
To me, I think so here. Better personnel than what we saw from the Colts. Definitely for sure. But can he actually help them out this season? That's what we need to figure out here. Because we got tough teams to go against. Tampa Bay made the playoffs last season. Cincinnati, I don't know. We're gonna beat them again here. I doubt it. We got freaking Baltimore, Lamar Jackson. We got Derrick Henry, possibly the best top 5 running back in the league. I don't know how this defense is gonna stop him. So that's what we're gonna find out this season. If this quarterback room is actually gonna stop Derrick Henry, with this defense can stop Derrick Henry, stop their dynamic receivers. So that's what we need to know here.
Oh, 100%. So I think those are our 3 breakout candidates for this upcoming season, and that is Keon White, Jaheim Bell, and Alex Austin. And now we can take in some of your questions and comments in the chat. And also, if you want to chat with us, you can use the link in the below, or you can use it or you can go to the link which is in the pinned comment chat, excuse me. So let's take a look at some of your comments about so basically nothing that I see interesting, but Ashton makes a really good point about the Drake May point, that if it continues to happen throughout the summer, we can start worrying, but now I'm not worried. Yeah, we shouldn't be worried at this point, but if reports saying that Drake May has a similar performance to what he had last Tuesday or yesterday, then we're going to have to start to worry. But at this point, I'm not concerned.
I'm not concerned either, honestly.
Let's see what else I see before we can take call-ins, but just spam all your questions in the chat, and we'll get to those soon, but Andy makes a really good point saying that fans are like this because of the one and only TB12. All right.
Yep.
That's the mentality for all of everything nowadays.
Yeah, it's just we miss Tom Brady, who was definitely one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, who's been the greatest quarterback for the Patriots at this point. But yeah, I already get over with Brady here. Now I'm just focused on the future. Like if every fan out there should just focus, they're still talking about Tom Brady. I get it, but do not talk about it a lot here because we're in the new era of New England.
Also, another good comment by Ashton saying that comparing any quarterback, even if it's not a Patriots quarterback, is not a fair comparison. Like we see a lot of comparisons saying Drake May is like the next Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. just because of the arm talent and the ability to run, yeah, I could see that. But I just feel like I wouldn't compare Drake May entirely to Josh Allen, considering that how Josh Allen didn't have a great rookie season, and and he didn't have a sophomore slump as he took Buffalo to the playoffs again at 10-6, and then ever since Brady's departure, Josh Allen took off. So if Drake May has a similar season like that, if he has like a breakout season, we could see Drake May being like one of those. He could be like a top 10 quarterback. But I just think that I don't want to overhype here because it would hurt his confidence, just like what we did with Mac Jones. We do not want to jump the bandwagon and being like, oh, Drake May is this, Drake May is that. I think it's way too soon at this point.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely way too soon to just talk overhype overhype Drake May like we did with Mac Jones. Honestly, he had a great rookie year, but his second year, well, not entirely his fault because Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, as offensive coordinators at this point, as a defensive special teams coaches, worst idea at this point in the Patriots organization that ruins Mac's confidence. And third year, it's all entirely Bill Belichick's fault that just really ruins Mac's confidence. We do not want to have that. We do not have that. We do not need that deja vu with Mike Vrabel and Mac Jones. I mean, not Mac Jones, Drake May. Like, honestly, we do not need that deja vu at this point, at this rate. We're at this wait and see what happens in 2025 here.
Yeah, we need to see if he can thrive under Josh McDaniels' new scheme. So, and we all know Josh McDaniels' scheme. Can Drake May adapt under Josh McDaniels as his new offensive coordinator? Even though Josh McDaniels worked with Tom Brady for majority of his time in New England, so he did have a similar set skill as Drake May, which was Cam Newton, but it was a washed up Cam Newton, and it was more of Belichick being way too cocky, not like upgrading the offense or the defense.
Yeah, but Cam Newton is like a little washed. It's just me here. He's still a better quarterback, in my opinion, than freaking Mac Jones and freaking Bailey Zappi at this point here. He's probably the second best quarterback since after Brady. Probably better than Mac. Definitely better than definitely better than freaking Zappi. Definitely better than freaking what's his name we had last year? Jacoby Brissett. There we go.
Yeah,
I still think that Cam Newton, even though we think he got us 7 wins at this point, he's still a better quarterback than Mac, than Zappi, and better than freaking Jacoby combined.
But that's just Belichick being Belichick.
Yes.
So let's go to Andy's another question. Like he said, what about CJ Dupree at tight end? Are you referring to him as being a breakout candidate, or are you just saying what are your thoughts on CJ Dupree at tight end? About CJ Dupree, I think that I haven't done much like intel on him, but as far as I saw his name, I did my research, and I can see him being one of those better tight ends to take over Hunter Henry or Austin Hooper if that's the case. What are your thoughts on CJ Dupree, Thomas?
Never heard of him in my life, so I cannot say.
Yeah, that's unfortunately we can't answer that question. But anyone else, like, throw in your questions, comments, or you can use the link in the description down below to join the call if you want. You can ask here and there and give us your thoughts on like the topics we discussed so far, or anything that you can come up with that is Patriots related. We really want to get really want to get your thoughts. That way, it would be really helpful for me to hear what you have to say about like some of the topics that we discussed. But Thomas, another thing that I really want to get into is like, who do you think could really bounce? Who do you think could really bounce back this upcoming season after having a terrible terrible showing in 2024.
To me here, just not me. It's just not just me to overhype this guy because we not only would draft him here, Jalen Polk. I don't know because he was supposed to be one of our best receivers out there on the draft because he came out of Washington, who came out of the winning almost won a national championship that year, but he did not have any confidence because how terrible the wide receiver room is last season. So the same as Javon Baker, like loses confidence because how terrible this wide receiver room is. Now we got a perfect wide receiver room. Now he could regain his confidence, possibly under a new wide receivers coach. Honestly, Polk could actually elevate to have a better season. Not, it's not. It has to be like 1,000-yard season. Like no, it's going to be like about 700 receiving season here just to rebound it from what happened last year.
Yeah, I just felt about Jalen Polk. I was trashing on him during the regular season just because of his inconsistencies. Like I was hyping up that guy too during training camp because him with pads and without pads, I thought he looked great. My only concern with Jalen Polk is his maturity. Can we all agree that? Can we both agree that his maturity was one of his bigger issues? Saying that
yes.
he went on Instagram, posted his story saying that he has the better hands. No, you don't. You dropped a crucial ball, and obviously we know for a fact that that touchdown he was supposed to make against Miami, I think that was a stupid call on the referees. I don't know what they were thinking, but Jalen Polk, ever since then, he has never been looking the same. And yeah, he did have some injury concerns, but that's more on the wide receiver coach not having any clue on what he was doing.
Right.
And thank goodness we have a better coach in Todd Downing, even though he's worked with the running backs. But can he see if he could work with the wide receivers? That will be the big question, considering that he has never worked with the wide receivers. He has worked with the running backs and the tight ends. And that is Todd Downing.
Right. Absolutely.
If I don't see any more questions or comments, or if you are not thinking of like wanting to call in, but I just want to say thank you everybody for joining on this random Wednesday show here on the NE Patriots Talk channel. By the way, guys, we will have a show later this week, this upcoming Saturday, talking about the offensive line. You really don't want to miss that. And if you want to be notified for that, I would recommend you subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out. And remember, subscribing is the best way to support the channel. We can't do these shows without you. So it's important to subscribe. So, and as always, go Pats.